all for coming, and thank you for the lovely introduction, and thank you for the lovely song. Today is my official retirement and party afterwards, so all of you come. I was called to give a sermon today. I had a message that I wanted to give, and so I hope it says something to you. It's called Doors and Windows. We've all heard the expression, when God closes a door, he opens a window. The window God opened for me was working at Redeemer. This is my testimony. Before 2012, which was when I started here, I was self-employed. I cleaned houses for about 12 families. It was the perfect work for me because I could set my own hours. The days I wanted to work, I could take time off when I wanted to, and the pay wasn't bad. But in 2011, the country was hit with the recession. The cleaning lady was the first luxury to go. I still had a few clients in early 2012, but they were my sister Linda and my brother Glenn. And I guess it's kind of hard to fire your sibling. In February 2012, the secretary here at Redeemer, Judy Itoni, unexpectedly passed away. My brother-in-law, Sam Dallas, Linda didn't even think about me, but Sam did. He knew I was underemployed at the time, so he called and asked if I was willing to come and work a few weeks at the church while they found a replacement. He thought I could figure out how to make the bulletin for the service, how to pay the bills with Dick Nacy's help, how to answer the phones, and not mess anything up too badly. I said I can try, and I've been here ever since. I don't even know if they ever worked for anybody else. But it's been a great 12 years. But now back to my closing doors and opening windows. Growing up, I did not attend church regularly, so I had no real relationship with God or Jesus. In fact, I made my first communion during my wedding ceremony with Chuck in the Catholic Church. God and Jesus to me were just symbols of something I did not understand nor feel the need to understand. The quote from Proverbs 8:17, I love those who love me, and those who seek me find me, had no meaning or significance. I was content to pray when I wanted something from God or to blame God when things went wrong. But I had no real faith. I was not an agnostic, but I wasn't a true believer either. I was more like a doubting Thomas. Like Thomas in John 20:27, I needed to put my finger in Christ to become a believer. But the window God opened for me let me see God in action and deeds, and not just as words on a page. There were so many times God guided me, especially here at Redeemer, even though I was unaware of his hand. A hand that sometimes pushed and sometimes pulled. A hand that was sometimes gentle and other times not so gentle. God was closing a door and he was opening a window I could not close. I was at Redeemer because God wanted me here during this time. Maybe I even needed to be here, and I didn't even know it, but God did know. He knew that I was needed here and that I needed to be here. I began to recognize God's presence in my life because there were times I would stay late at the church and be in the office, and I would receive a phone call from someone that needed help or just needed somebody to listen to. And because of God, I was here. I was at Redeemer that day at that time. An example of being at the right place at the right time was the first year I worked here. A person called because he had seen a flyer on the AA bulletin board that I had put up. I realized when I was writing this story that I must have been guided to put that flyer up on that bulletin board. The bulletin board indicated where to look in the Bible for help. Things like, when tempted to do wrong, read Psalm 139. If you're facing a crisis, read Psalm 46. Or, when you're discouraged, think over Psalm 23. God was beginning to open my windows and my mind. This person that called wanted to know what version of the Bible I had used for those quotes. I said I used the King James Version because that was the only one I could remember. This person said that was the version that he had. This person was so excited and at the same time relieved. That call gave me goosebumps. I'll never know what happened to that person, but I knew that the reason I was at the church that day so late was because I needed to be here to answer that call. I even told Linda about that call, and I think she got goosebumps also. I have since found out there are over 900 versions of the Bible translated into English, and there are 3,142 versions of the Bible worldwide translated into 2,073 different languages. Another time God pushed my windows open even more was a service vendor here at the church was installing the new phone system. I had resisted recommending changing from our AT&T phone service to this new phone service for many years. You know, we had all kinds of vendors calling. The gentleman that came in to install the system revealed that he was having problems at home. I invited him to go into this sanctuary and have some private meditation time. He came out with tears in his eyes and had a plan to help with his problem. Every time he comes to service our system now, he takes a few minutes in the sanctuary. Another time, a person who frequently comes to church came in with very hurt feelings. This person was hurt by people that they loved like family, and they were upset by the actions that these people had done. I asked this person if they would like to have some spiritual time in the sanctuary. This person came out with a smile on their face, saying that God wanted them to talk to their friends and that everything would get straightened out. I later learned that talking helped put that friendship back on track. Redeemer and I played a role in healing the hurt and saving that friendship. Another story. Recently, and this was maybe 3 weeks ago, I was buying food for the little food pantry. I picked up several packets of saltine crackers, boxes of them. I don't generally buy crackers for the pantry. I don't know why I was considering buying them. I even went to put them back on the shelf 3 different times, but I just kept them and put them in the pantry outside that Monday when I filled it. On Tuesday, I saw a new person in the pantry cabinets. He took a few things. Later that day, he came and asked to use the restroom. In talking with him, Pastor and I found out he was homeless. He was carrying crackers, peanut butter, and jelly from the pantry. The pastor and I gave him some bottles of water and a bag. I was meant to buy those crackers for him to have something to eat. Additionally, I've spoken many times with people who call or come to the church. I can see that they need to speak with Pastor Murphy. They usually walk out feeling better. If I had not been there, they might not have had a chance to unburden themselves. I usually offer water or snacks from my office stash to those coming to the office, including vendors, delivery people, the mail person, and John Holmes. Connie and I also make sure we now have pretzel rods for Sam Dallas. I was beginning to follow the path of Jesus in my interactions with people. Matthew 25:35, it is written, "For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me." Pastor Murphy believes that I embody this scripture. In 2015, he's nodding back here, you can't hear him. In 2015, I was diagnosed with an aggressive form of breast cancer. Because I had come to know the presence of God and His Son in my life, I turned to that faith. I sat in the sanctuary. Right up front here, I usually sit not too far from where Carl was sitting. And I prayed. I could not pray that the results were not cancer, but I could pray for the strength to be able to deal with whatever came along. After enduring chemo and surgery, I found myself in the same, I skipped a part. After enduring chemo and surgery, I again found myself praying. This time I sat in the back. When I lifted my head after my conversation with God, I was filled with a sense that I was part of a community of faith that would help me through everything. And finally, right before Palm Sunday in 2016, I was told I needed additional radiation treatments. I had already had 30 treatments and I needed 5 more. I had pretty bad radiation burns on the right side of my neck and down my right side. The burns even scared my grandchildren. So I found myself back in the sanctuary. This time I sat up front where the liturgist and Linda is sitting today. And I had a pretty nice little pity party for myself. Tears, maybe a little profanity, a lot of questions, why me, why this? Then I lifted my head and I saw the wooden cross that we have up during Lent. I realized if Christ could endure what he did, I could handle 5 more treatments. Every negative thought left my mind. God was guiding me and I was filled with his peace. Other things that I have been led to do. The Advent food drive that we've done for the last 7 or 8 years, they filled both our pantry and the pantry at Emmanuel United Methodist Church. In the fall of 2019, I told the Missions and Outreach Committee that in the spring I wanted to start our own little food pantry. I was giving them plenty of notice. The pantry was just starting when COVID happened, and we know how many people we have reached through this outreach program. When I started in 2012, the Care Notes board was covered with a blanket. I wanted to start using it again. The Care board now has pamphlets, books, and other resources to help and inspire all people who come into the building. We also know that many people pass along the books and pamphlets to their family and friends after they've read them. I started our social media campaign, and it's allowed me to be a voice for God's message. In 2020, I was in the church office when Valerie Kendall, the mayor of Harper Woods, came in and said Tom Masseri Produce wanted a place to deliver food that could be passed out to those in need. I didn't even check with the trustees. I was guided to say yes and then figure out how we would make it happen. I have organized and helped make happen the church fun days that was held in the past, the food giveaways, the trunk or treat, the Easter egg hunt, the events with the NEDC, and the children's Sunday school. The vials of blessed oil, it was my idea to put them on the table and the communion cups out in the hallway. I refill these every few months so I know people are taking them. Durrell, the pastor's 4-year-old grandson, even takes the vials to preschool and blesses the other children. I did not know it when I started in 2012 that this church was where God wanted me, but I came to know it was true. I came to both a belief and a faith in God that is important in my life. I follow Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding. In all ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. I was not listening to God before I started working here, but that did not matter to him. He still guided me to where he needed me to be, or most importantly, where I needed to be. And I am listening now as he guides me on this next road in my journey. My question to you, are you listening? Do you believe Proverbs 19:21? Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it's the Lord's purpose that prevails. I do. Thank you.